Hello and welcome to examples for chapter 2 CSE259 predicate logic. In the first set of examples, let's have a look at predicate formulas and how to write predicate formulas, uh, given English statements and convert them between English statements and predicate formulas. So to get started, a quick view of the operations. This is the way we write. For all there exists conjunction, disjunction, implication, and negation. Negation is a urinary operator. For all and there exists are urinary operators, and the remaining three, conjunction, disjunction, and implication, are bijective operators. Uh, so, keeping this in mind, let's try to write some of the statements in predicate logic. Here is the first question. Use the predicate specifications. B beats Y. X is a football team. F of X. Q, X comma Y. X is a quarterback of Y. X loses to Y. And we have two teams provided as C being Wildcat, J being Jayhawks. The statements are every football team has a quarterback. So how do we write this in predicate logic? A, every football team. So for all X, F of X, there exists a quarterback Y, Q of Y comma X. So for all X is a football team, there exists a Y, and Y is quarterback of X. Second one, if Jayhawks beat Wildcats, so beat is given by X comma Y, Wildcats is given by C, and Jayhawks is given by J. So if Jayhawks beat Wildcats, then Jayhawks do not lose to every football team. X beats Y. So J beats C implies Jayhawks does not lose to every football team. So not of lose, X loses to Y. So J loses to Y, does not lose to every football team. So that means there exists Y such that L J of Y is false. Now let's see the third statement. The Wildcat beats some team which beats Jayhawks. So that means there exists an X such that Wildcats beat the team. So B, Wildcats is given by C, comma, X, and X beats Jayhawks. So X, comma, J. These are the three statements. Let's see some more of these examples for a few more complex statements. Here, let's look at this statement. An attacker can persuade a server that a successful login has occurred even if it hasn't. We are not given any predicates, so we need to define our own predicates to be able to write this statement in predicate logic. So the first part of this statement is we have an attacker. A of X is attacker X. S of X, let's call that the server X. We are talking about persuade over here, so let's put attacker persuades server, so X comma Y. X persuades Y, and we have login X comma Y. X logs into Y. Given these predicates, let's write the predicate logic statement for the English statement given above. We have an attacker, so there exists an attacker. Let's call it small a of A, and we have a server, so let's do call that as S of S, and there has not been a successful login. That's not of L A comma S implies there is a persuasion that has happened on the server. Please ensure here that the brackets provided are correct. Otherwise, the statement could have a different meaning. So this is what is the way to write this English statement provided above as a predicate statement. Another example, an attacker can overwrite someone else's credentials on the server. Again, we have an attacker, A of X, attacker X. These are the predicates that we are defining. So server X, then we are also talking about override someone else's. So that means there is someone else. So let's call that as a user X. And we are talking about the credentials of the user. So let's call C of X comma Y as Y is credentials of X, and we are also talking about overrides. So let's call that as the function O. What does this take? It has a user, the user credentials, and server, and override done by an attacker. So attacker A overwrites credentials of user U on S. So that's what the statement means. Now, using these four, let's write the predicate statement for the above line. There exists a user U, there exists a server, and there exists an attacker. So U is a user, server S, and an attacker A. And the user has credentials. So there exists credentials C of user comma A. Sorry, it's C. This implies overwrite user credentials on server S by attacker A. Again, repeating how this has been written. So we have a user U on server S and an attacker A. User U has credentials C. Then there is an attacker A who can override the credentials on the server. This is what is the above English statement. A third example, all users enter password instead of names. Here we have users. U of X is user X. We have password and names. Y is password of X, and the third is a name. Let's call it N. Y is name of X. Now here we say we for all users. So for all, let's call it U, user U, and they're asked for a name. User comma name implies there exists a password for that user, and the user password is provided instead of name. So it's not reading it again. For all users, and given they need the name of the user U provides his password, which is P, and not name, which is X. Always remember to provide the right parenthesis, otherwise this would not make complete sense. These are the ways you can convert a English statement into a predicate statement. To know more on this, do try some examples from the textbook. Also go through the lectures provided and use the exercises. Thank you.